Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pie Talks Behind the Beat, Toxicity in the Lyrics. And hello to everybody who may be watching this on the replay. We are going to take a minute to let our other host hop on with us. So we're just playing some music and vibing out. In the meantime, we got Miss Asia, Josephina over there, looking marvelous as usual. And we're just going to give Miss Ashley a few seconds to join us. And thank you to anybody that's on, that watches again the replay. I'm excited about tonight's topic as we talk about behind the beat. Okay. And so, in the meantime, while we do talk, would love to just invite anybody that's listening to, check out Pi. And just a reminder on what we are about. We are a community of women that are about healing, community, sisterhood, and breaking beyond the stereotype of what it means to be a Black woman, to be a melanated woman. 2026, what are you doing? Breaking the stereotypes of. We got ads on the. Breaking the stereotypes of sisterhood and community, and being able to come together, to learn together, to grow together, to heal together, and to be better versions of ourselves, for each other, for our community, and all of the above. So Ashley is here with us. Hello, Miss Ashley. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Can y'all hear me?
We sure can, and we are already live. So we told we just got started, but welcome. Glad you're able to join us. And so just giving everybody a quick little intro on about Pi. And again, now that we're all here, everyone, I will go ahead and get us started. And again, I can turn this off. And before we get started, actually, because I know, Ashley, you're just walking in the door. I know we've all had a day, a week, even though it's only Monday, however, whatever, wherever we're coming in from, I'd like to just take a moment to, I was actually digging that, Mr. AJ Gent. Nice guitarist. So just give us a moment to get settled in, as we always do, and just breathe and be in the moment. So if we all can, just take a deep breath. We could do one more deep breath in and hold. And do one more just for good measure. All right. Welcome again, everybody. I want to apologize in advance. I am not home. And so I may have some teenagers coming through the door. I gave them a warning to please, be mindful when they do come in. But just in case, I want to just, apologize in advance in case that does happen. So again, welcome everybody to Pi Talks. My name is Roshni, and I'm here with Miss Asia and Miss Ashley. Our butterfly leaders and I are going to be hosting tonight's conversation as Miss Enrique is in the process of traveling back to the States from Jamaica. And so we're going to hold it down for her today and hold it down for Pi. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm excited about the conversation because this is something that I just am mindful of and think about often. And it's just, it's something I could talk about a lot. But so today we're going to be talking about behind the beat. Okay. And talking about the toxicity behind the lyrics, because I know for myself, and I've heard it said, it's almost like, I don't know, but it's like when people are like, oh, I just like the beat, right? I just like the beat. Oh, the beat just gets me. But as we explore how mainstream media, or excuse me, mainstream music through the beats and the hooks and the repetition how it shapes how we think about relationships, our bodies, and even ourselves. And so, just to be clear, this is not about blaming music or shaming any artist, but it's about becoming aware of what we're listening to and what we're allowing to come into our minds, into our bodies, into our spirits, because what we listen to often becomes what we normalize. And so, I'd like to bring in Ashley and Asia to, of course, join me in on this conversation.
Hi. So, when we talk about music influence, we have to understand something important. The beat affects our body first. When the body is relaxed and enjoying something, the mind becomes less critical. That's when repeated messages can enter without us fully questioning them. So, it's not just about what we hear, it's about how it enters us.
And I want to ground that into real life because this isn't abstract. And a lot of times we're singing lyrics without realizing what we're actually repeating over and over into ourselves and into our environments. And this is why awareness matters. Not to take joy away from the music, but to understand its impact.
Absolutely. And I just want to give one example of a lyric that I've heard recently in a very popular song that, you know, has triggered me before, but again, it triggered me again when I heard it. And the lyric said, I'll treat you like a lady, lady, F you till you burn out cremation. Right. So, ladies, just to kind of, when you hear that, what message or does that, you know, do you get from that? Or how does that impact you when you really hear that lyric?
Uh, that were basically, at least men in general, not saying all men, but some men just look at us for our bodies and that they're gonna overstimulate us to the point where we're, you know, passed out on things.
Right.
Right.
Right. Basically, and again, going back to what Ashley said, is that when we um, are not aware of that and we, just kind of sing it over and over, it does become normalized and a men who take that in can make that as that's all women are good for. And women who hear that, and not all women, of course, but can kind of take on the idea or the belief that that's all we're good for. And so we want to break down what we're actually hearing in mainstream media. And so let's look at the difference between the beat we enjoy and the message we don't always notice, and as in the example I just gave, because sometimes the sound is so good, we don't slow down enough to hear what's actually being said. Asia, can you break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, so what we see in mainstream music is repetition of certain themes, uh, hyper hypersexualized language, power dynamics, and material focus. When something is repeated over and over, it becomes familiar. And when it becomes familiar, it starts to feel normal. And that's where influence happens, not through one song, but through constant exposure.
Right. And that's the part people don't always realize. We start to internalize it. It becomes the background language of how people joke, talk, date, and even how they see themselves.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about how this affects our identity, especially as women. As women, we carry something deeper than what we often see reflected in the mainstream music. So we have to ask, how are these messages shaping how women are being seen and how we see ourselves?
When women are repeatedly represented through sexualized or limited narratives, it narrows perception culturally and internally. It doesn't define who women are, but it can influence what people think is expected of them. And over time, that shapes identity norms in subtle ways.
And I think about younger girls, especially. If that's the dominant message that they hear, it can affect how they value themselves before they even understand who they are.
Absolutely. And so, what does this mean for our communities? And just again to reference that one song lyric, because we can pick, I can personally pick from a million out there. What would you say is the message that we do get from predominantly what is out there? I mean, even that one lyric in and of itself, right? It just goes back to saying that women are objects to be used and thrown out, right? We're good until we're burnt out, literally. And that is not who we are, and that's not all we're good for. Because and music doesn't just stay in our headphones; it shows up in our language, in our behavior, in our culture, and we can look around and see it every day.
Yeah. And when certain themes are normalized through music, they can begin to shape communication styles, relationship expectations, and emotional expression. It becomes part of the cultural environment people are growing inside of.
And sometimes we don't even realize how desensitized we become because it's everywhere. um like you were just saying, it like it gets shaped into our communication styles, our relationships, expectations, etc. Like we'll just be saying stuff, it just becomes a joke. We have all sang those songs all over the place, and you just saying it as a joke, but not really listening to the lyrics themselves, right?
Mhm.
That's why awareness is the first step to change.
Yes. So now the question is, what do we do with this awareness? And actually, I mean, and if not yet, before we go there, is there any lyric that you've heard or maybe has crossed your mind recently that kind of made you like second guess or stop to be like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize that that's what they were saying, or oh my gosh, like that's not what I want to be saying over myself. Um, can you ladies think of anything just kind of
Recently, no. Sorry, I
okay.
don't
It doesn't
listen to
have to. It doesn't
I
have
don't
to. It
listen
doesn't
to
have to be.
that stuff.
And it doesn't have to be recent because once we do become aware and we start really listening, it's like okay, I don't even want to
Right.
put that
I
into
don't I
my
don't
head.
I
So
don't I don't like this music from the last like 15, 20 years, so I don't
mm,
listen to it.
no, for sure. So one song that's older, but
Mhm.
that I remember when it came out and when it was popular. And I was an adult already, but I was working in the school system. And the song was the title and the beat was just like "I Want to Die Young."
Mm.
If you guys remember that song or have heard it or whatever, okay, this is, I won't say who it's from, but
Mhm.
literally that's the name of the song and that's the chorus.
Wow.
So and it has like an upbeat kind of like rave type of energy to it, and so
Wow.
it just sounds like you are familiar with or heard of it before.
Right.
And whenever I was hearing it back then, I was like, and again, it's catchy, they do a
Mhm.
great job of making it stick in your head, but I was like, no, I don't want this stuck in my head. I don't want to
Mhm.
be chanting this or singing this or jumping around dancing to this because, so often people are like, oh, it's just a song. It doesn't matter. It's just a song.
Right.
But very rarely do we really, are we really understanding the impact that it really does have on how we move, like we said, what's normalized, the talks we have within ourselves, our inner conversations, um, and all these things. So again, the question is, what do we now do with this awareness?
Right.
Right? We can't just stop at observation, right? We move into responsibility and choice. So what can we do differently?
There's already there are already artists, movements, and communities creating music that centers healing, clarity, and consciousness. So is the solution. Part of that is the solution is expanding what we support and what we amplify.
Absolutely. And it starts small. What we play in our homes, what we allow around our children, what we choose to repeat. Awareness creates choice, and choice creates change.
Absolutely. And because we identified some negative, lyrics out there, Do either of you have, some positive song lyrics that, you might get stuck in your head, or that you sing, or that you listen to on a regular, that is not on mainstream media, not on the mainstream radio because of what they choose to amplify?
I listen to Christian and gospel music all day, so
Hey, look at, and that's fine too, because if that's your belief, if a person's
yeah,
that does some, and how does that
right.
make you feel, Ashley? Whenever, just let's
I
just
feel good, especially like on the Christian music station. Like you be ready, you be turned up. Like,
Right.
they don't be playing. Or the gospel station, they make you cry a little bit, but that Christian station they have you turned up.
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
sure. What about you, Asia? What are some popular songs or lyrics that can turn you around if you're having a bad day or feeling a type of way? If any.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about popular,
Okay,
but
well, yeah, no, that'd be popular because most of the time they're not popular if
Right,
they
right.
are.
Most definitely are not. Yes.
basically it says, look inside, don't wait for someone else. Every choice begins with yourself. Every mistake, every argument starts from within. It is where it begins. If you want to change the world, start with yourself.
That's
Yes.
that's awesome.
You know,
Yes.
and that reminds me of, I think we can say this name just because, everybody loves and respects, the king of pop, the man in the mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're looking
Mm-hmm.
for change, we got to look in the mirror, and we can't
Yeah.
look at, there's another song I heard today that, again, another popular song was on the radio. And I was like, I don't like this song because the person sounds bitter, the lyric was like, if you wonder if I hate you, I do, and it's like, I'm like, but at the same token, and again, that's kind of pointing outwards, like, I hate you
Right.
because of whatever you did to me, and the song ain't no better, the rest of the song ain't no better. But the king of pop is telling us, okay, we want to see change, we got to look in the mirror and change ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that, ties back to what pie is all about,
Right.
looking at ourselves and doing the inner work, and not putting the blame for all of our quote unquote issues or problems, or triggers on other people,
Right.
because, and another song, and this will be the last one that I reference, y'all are feel free, because we're currently, we can add some time to our call today. um One of my favorite love songs, if you will, called Steady Love, and she was like, basically saying about how, like, the love that she's experiencing with the person that she was with is steady, because he makes her feel safe, he makes her feel secure, she's a boss in her world, but he lets her, she's basically a big kid, a little baby, she's with him.
Mm-hmm.
And highlighting the healthy love, true love, as we say here at Pi, as opposed to the pseudo love, that the world gives us, where, if it doesn't work out, then I hate you and everybody else, associated with you, because that's not healthy or healing, or, really how we want to move in our day-to-days.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just as we begin to wrap up our call, unless anybody wants to add any additional, you know, song of references, or,
I
what you.
can say
Mhm.
a song that has been out in the last 15, came out in the last 15, 10 years or so. Happy by Pharrell Williams. I love that one.
Yes.
That one. That's just positive. You just feel good. Like you could be like you could be at work with your head down, like and then that song come on in the bathroom. You're like, okay, it gives you some joy, and we've got to remember that, because there. I remember when I was younger, I would like literally listen to the radio to cry. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I
Absolutely.
over there listening to Sunday night slow jams over there, just like, okay, I need to get this out. You know what I mean? But so it's just not the negative, stuff that happens with these song lyrics and things. A lot of people want to talk about, the women, the female rappers, and how they dress and how they talk and da da da. But it's like it's not just that. It's like there's all kinds of different things that go on with music that could be up or down, and you have to recognize it and be aware of it, and you can use it the right way if you do. I grew up, we were not able to listen to listen, watch, whatever. It was, age appropriate, right? And
Mhm.
then when I got out of my main family house, and got out into the world, I was still very young, in and out of foster care and stuff. And I'm like experiencing all this new stuff. It was like, yo, that's not like that's not it. And still to this day, when kids get in my car, I don't care if you're a teenager or whatever, I'm just not playing certain stuff because like this is not it. Like I try to keep things positive. I try to keep it upbeat because it makes a difference.
Mhm. Absolutely. And it's like, and just as evidence to that, right? But just in case anybody out there, like, oh, who still thinks, oh, it's just a song or it's just a music, there's, if you think about, people working out, right?
Hmm.
Typically we it's like, okay, I'm going to put on certain kind of music to help me lift out more. Or I've heard people be like, oh, well, when I'm in a bad mood, I turn on this music because it makes me angry. It helps me get out my rage,
Right.
So it's like, there and as a people, right, as a melanated people, music has always been a part of our culture.
It's
It's always
motivational.
been,
Yes.
so it's like there is actual real power and intention that is put into music. And so those who are in control of the industry do what they do on purpose,
Yeah.
right? Because it changes, it alters how we see ourselves, what we think, like, again, as we said earlier, what we see is acceptable. And I know for for myself, there was a season in time where I couldn't listen to certain love songs because it made me like sad because I'm like, oh, I want this. Like, it was like, it was a beautiful feeling,
Hmm.
but it made me sad because I didn't have it. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me put this to the side. I just can't listen to this right now because it puts me in too much of a heartbroken place because I didn't have what the song was talking about.
Yeah.
So um yes, there is absolutely real power in the music we listen to and what we choose to entertain. All right. Anybody else want to add anything else before we wrap it up? No? Okay.
All right.
So today we explored, so what we explored today is not about judgment, right? We don't want to judge anybody for your choice of music because, again, everybody has their certain preferences. But by becoming more aware of what it is that we are listening to. And I know for myself, once those I can't say scales off my eyes because it's in my ears. So whatever the similar analogy would be, came out of my ears, I remember thinking like, I don't want to entertain this. I don't
Yeah.
want to dance to this, because if I'm by me dancing to it, my belief was by me dancing to this music, I'm basically condoning the message behind it and basically volunteering myself to be I don't want to say victim, but like a recipient or, of said treatment of, that the music's what that the lyrics were discussing.
Right.
Oh, I guess it's me. And what we repeat becomes what we normalize.
Mhm.
And what we normalize becomes culture.
Right. And so let's be intentional about what shapes us and what we choose to shape us next.
Yes.
All righty. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate your attendance. For those who watch the replay, feel free to like the video, share it with somebody, subscribe to the to Enrique's Visions YouTube channel, and come join Pi, where we are a community of women that again is about healing, it's about sisterhood, it's about community, and breaking the stereotypes of what it means to be a melanated woman here in the world today, because we are not what they tell us that we are.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
Bye.